Hey, what's up, guys? Boxing with B. Today I am joined by two guests. So today we have TJ from the Boxing Syndicate, and then we have Jose from Mo Boxing. No problem. Thanks, guys, for joining.
Thanks for the invite.
No problem. Thank you for having us on.
Okay, so I want to start off by asking you guys. So Saturday we saw plenty of fights throughout the whole day. This even required us, changing the channel here and there in between rounds just to see what's going on, or having like three different TVs up just to see like what's happening at each fight. But one by one, so let's start with you, TJ. So which fight stuck out the most to you on Saturday?
I think it has to be the Fundora Lubin. It was a firefight the whole time. Both guys dropping each other. And then, obviously Fundora got the win. But, Lubin was up on the scorecards. It obviously could have went either way. Obviously, his coach ended up stopping that fight, which probably was a good call. But I think that had to be the fight to stand out for me.
Before I touch in on that, and what about you, Jose?
I'm going to have to agree. I think Erickson Lubin versus Sebastian Fundora stole the show, not only for that card, for the whole night. I know a lot of pro boxers were reacting after the fight, and Terrence Crawford posted that Fundora is basically a cheat code. He's a fighter you create on fight night, and you have the sliders all the way max and increase the height. And I also saw David Benavidez posted a picture of Lubin before and after, and we saw how swollen Lubin's face got, and he basically said, "You don't play boxing." And I think that one is just a fight of the year.
Yeah, those pictures are like so impactful. But before that fight, TJ had actually posted about that fight, like on his story, and he was just like, "Who do you think is going to win?" And I put Fundora too, and he's like, "Man, it's going to be a tough fight." I'm like, "I know it's going to be." It's like everyone was saying that's going to be the fight to challenge Fundora, and throughout the fight, right in the second round, when Lubin touched the canvas, I was like, no way. Like, this is it. This is how this is going to end. Like, just 2 rounds for it to be his biggest test. And that's all we're going to see. And then, we didn't see it end there. It just continued. And the fact that, okay, what do you guys think about Fundora taking a knee?
It was a smart decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gave him time to recover because he was stunned by that punch. Like, Lubin is known as the hammer for a reason. I think he caught him clean with that. So I think it was the right move to just take a knee. I know his first time, being down in a contest, but it was the right decision to just get his head cleared up and refocus. And I think he ended up coming back strong in the next couple rounds.
You agree, TJ?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I actually watched Fundora. He had another interview, and I watched that. And he said, they were just saying like how mature that was of him in a big test like that. And I agree with that. Like, he took that knee to just gather his thoughts, get his head back together. And, he came out and stole the show right after that, even though, Lubin was still connecting shots here and there. But, he came back and stole the show after he went down on that knee, gathered his thoughts, gathered his breath back. So I respected that, honestly.
Yep.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you guys, because when I saw Fundora taking all those shots, I was like, oh man, is he going to get knocked out? But the fact that he on his own took a knee and was like, dang it. I was like, man, for being so young, that was a high IQ in the ring.
Most definitely.
And then those uppercuts, it's like, it's just how, really.
Initially, for my prediction, I thought like the inside fighting was going to favor Lubin. I thought he was going to connect to the body a lot. But Fundora showed an improved inside fighting game. He kept finding a home for that uppercut. And ultimately, that was accumulation of punches. And I think the right decision to stop it.
That's kind of what he said, too. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, TJ.
Oh, no, yeah. I was just going to say, like, just after watching a lot of Fundora's fights, like, I caught up on Fundora a couple years back, and then I was just intrigued by him, obviously, because he's so tall and what he can do. So I was just intrigued by him. So I watched a few of his fights, and it looks like, you would think for a guy that's 6'6" and 154, you would be trying to keep his distance and just light these guys up from distance. But he's actually really good on the inside, and he can take the shots. He obviously gives shots back that are effective. So, I like his game plan too, but I would like to see him, learn to fight from the outside too, because I just think he'd be a lot more effective and really just light some guys up too.
I definitely agree. Imagine him using his reach and actually, keeping that distance the first couple of rounds, kind of toying with them because, I mean, you have to learn how to get around it. Otherwise, you're going to be on the outside for a while. And then breaking them down and coming in and going toe to toe. I think, like you said, when I had seen Fundora a while ago too, and it was because of the fact, like, I didn't know his name, but I knew what he looked like because of the fact that he was so tall. I was like, who is this kid? I was like, no way. And so, of course, you stay and watch. You're like, what's he going to do? And the fact that he goes toe to toe and just stands in the middle of the ring and brings it, I'm like, I did not expect that. And then here with Lubin too, you expected a firefight, but at the same time, you're like, well, this is his biggest test. Will he still come out and go toe to toe? No, he'll probably use his reach. And you're like, no, that's not what we saw. What do you guys think about the stoppage? Was it a good stoppage or you guys disagree?
A great stoppage. I think that's going to prolong Lubin's career. While he was up on the cards, and I think that was the craziest part, like how competitive it was. I think the momentum was clearly swinging in Fundora's favor, and it was going to be stopped in the next couple of rounds. And I think his corner, saved them from necessary punishment.
And you, TJ?
I agree with that as well. Yeah, I think it's a great stoppage by his corner because, like, I don't know if anything was broken. I don't know if any reports that came out like he had any orbital bones broken or a jaw broken, but he had 3 more rounds of that coming. You know what I mean? So I definitely think it was a good stoppage because you never know what could have happened. If you just kept taking punishment. So great stoppage by the corner for sure.
Yeah, because even that 7th round where Lubin did knock down Fundora won the first 2 minutes of that round, and then it was kind of that flurry from Lubin. So I don't think he was tiring out. He probably didn't have more flurries in him.
Right, and his face was kind of like in that condition when he knocked him down. Like,
yeah, true.
His face was already in that condition. So he, I know Lubin would, if Kevin Cunningham, his trainer, if he didn't come in and stop that fight, I know Lubin wouldn't have gave up. You know what I mean? I know he's just the type of guy like you got to knock him out. You know what I mean? Period. Yeah. So I love his heart and what he gave out there, but I definitely think it was a good stop.
That's exactly what I was thinking because, not a lot, but like you could see in the crowd, probably like family, friends, people that went to go watch him, fans, they're disappointed with that. They don't want to see him stop, especially because, like you said, his face kind of already looked like that, but we were still seeing him explode and come at him and do damage. Like he was still, he could still do damage, but at the same time, like you said, he would not stop. He's that type of fighter that he'll go out on his feet if you don't go and protect him. So
right.
I definitely agree with you guys. I think that was a good stoppage, but at the same time, like the selfish part in me was like, oh man, like why stop this fight? Like I know that his face looks like that. I know he's taking a lot of punishment, but at the same time, he just stopped Fundora for a second. Like, so, but at the end of the day, the fighter's health is at risk too if you're not out there protecting him. So, I mean, good stoppage. Now I just want to ask you guys, let's talk about the fight that has the most hype around it. And that's the Ryan Garcia fight. Maybe not with boxing fans having the hype around it, but media, social media. That I hate talking about social media with boxing, but I feel like sometimes we have to mention it in order to get a perspective of what this fight was. So what were your thoughts on Ryan Garcia versus To-Go?
Go ahead, TJ.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, yeah, I'll go ahead. Yeah. So, I mean, like...
I like the reaction from everybody.
Like, where do you start?
Right. Like, where do you start with it? I definitely was expecting more from him. He went out there, and I guess I liked how aggressive he was. His foot was like on the gas as far as him applying the pressure. But I just think I would have liked to see more from him. I don't know if it's, he is with the new trainer. First fight with the new trainer, you can't expect, the chemistry to come like that. You know what I mean? So I'm not disappointed in his performance. I just expected him to come out there and be a little bit more flashy. So, and then To-Go, I thought he was going to come out a lot more aggressive than he was. He did a lot of backpedaling, moving around the ring. I don't necessarily want to say he was running, but, just a lot of backpedaling, not really throwing hands as much as he should. So, that kind of gave Ryan the fight, essentially. You know what I mean? He was applying more of the pressure and trying to swing, but I still don't think he let his hands go enough. But, good comeback, good win. We'll see what happens next.
I definitely think he was kind of on defense the whole time. And the few times that he did let his hands go, he did connect a few. So it was like if he would have gotten a little bit more instruction, keep doing what you're doing. You're kind of going too low. He can't catch you. Throw that overhand right. It'll land. His chin's all the way up. But I don't know. What do you think, Jose?
For me, I mean, I think everything was lined up for Ryan Garcia to have a showcase fight. This was a fighter that predominantly fought in his home country, didn't really have the power to bother Ryan. So I was expecting a knockout. And I do know that there's a lot of variables working against Ryan Garcia. So he had been out of the ring for 15, 16 months, changing new trainer, just came back from the hand injury, had to test it out. But when he knocked him out in the second round, I was like, all right, here we go. He's gonna knock him out, sooner rather than later. But I didn't see him cutting off the ring and using the jab enough to get the stoppage. And there was moments where he looked a bit amateur to me, and it's like he had abandoned what he had learned from the Reynoso camp. So I was disappointed because his last performance against Luke Campbell, we saw Ryan as the true fighter. Like Luke Campbell's an Olympic gold medalist, and he bit down from adversity and knocked out Luke Campbell. And I don't think Tego is on the level of Luke Campbell. So I was expecting him to knock him out, and it went the distance. First time Ryan's gone 12 rounds. It's going to be a learning experience for him, but I expected a lot more.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you guys. I think with Ryan, I mean, we're not part of the social media crowd that's just following whatever's pushed out on Ryan. So we kind of know more about what's going on. But I did expect, if you're going to go in there, like you said, show your IQ, cut off the ring if this guy is backpedaling, if this guy's, on defense the whole time and just moving around, or make adjustments because he's doing the same thing every time.
Yep.
Luke Campbell, yes, he was Ryan's toughest battle, but at the same time, it was an older Luke Campbell. It was not the same Luke Campbell that we had seen against like Linares, that kind of thing. Yeah, so it's one of those things with, I can't really give him credit on this one. It's one of those like, yeah, he was out of the ring, but he chose to come back. So, and it was against I'm going to say a hand-picked fighter. You're going to pick someone like Tego, who a lot of people hadn't heard about, hadn't seen him much. And we expected to see maybe a finish, an earlier finish, like make the adjustments, show that you're with Goossen now, show that you've been putting in the work and that you're serious. I think the only improvement that I can say is at the end, the post-fight talk, because he no longer said, I'm going to take Haney, I'm going to take Kambosos, I'm going to take those belts, I'm the champ. You cannot say that you're the champ if you have not done anything to get there yet. You still have to convince us. You have to show us what you got. I mean, we saw little glimpses, but the records and, everything to back those fighters up maybe didn't add up to what we would say is a champion or is a championship level. So I just give him credit on that end of not calling anyone out and being like, well, we'll see what's next, because basically he said if he said a name, he would be lying.
Do you think that has to do with the fact he didn't knock out Tego? Like he realized that, I need a couple more fights before I can get to that elite level again?
Honestly, I don't know, because I don't want to say yes or no on that, because I just don't know with this kid with the media. So it's like, right. I don't know what I'm reading yet. I don't know if this is a legit turning point in his life. Like, okay, I've been on this media stunt for a while. Now I really do want to focus on boxing. So let me tell my boxing fans what I should be saying. Who knows if he's trying to get the fans back on his side, because it doesn't seem like he really has that much of a following on. Not that he doesn't have a following, but if you check on the media posts, it's a big turn. Before, they like to say he has millions of followers. It's like, I don't know why that's a stat being mentioned right now. I don't know how that's going to help him in the ring. But the fact that I don't know, you go on the post and you no longer see a heavy load of Ryan Garcia's the best, Ryan's this and that. It's kind of the opposite now.
Right.
So
they're trying to get away from that starting to get away from that Four Horsemen talk where he was kind of in there, and you know what I mean. I think I don't know if he was just. I think the trainer thing had a lot to do with it. I feel like I still saw glimpses of him of Eddie Reynoso. You know, I feel like I saw glimpses of that rather than what he was supposed to be getting from his new trainer. So I think that might have played a part, and I feel like he wasn't. I don't know. I think he just wasn't as confident as he should have been yet. Next fight, I think, I feel like he should be a lot better, but but at the same time, the next fight, I'm expecting like a Jojo Diaz, somebody the real deal too. So, something, I don't know. We'll see what happens with Ryan, man. I don't know.
And good point about like Joe Goosen and Yasin Nafe's style. I did see the aggression, which is typical Joe Goosen, and I know Joe Goosen fighters tend to be more prone to a better inside game. So I'm hoping Ryan can pick that to his trade. But one thing I was disappointed, with Ryan Garcia, I think his post-fight comments spot on, mature, not calling anyone out. But when they asked Joe Goosen to comment on Ryan Garcia's performance and give it a grade, he gave it an A. And I think giving Ryan Garcia an A for that performance isn't being real. I think it was a B- if we take all the other factors into consideration. So I'm hoping Joe Goosen isn't going to be just a yes man and can actually, push Ryan when he needs to be pushed.
That's a good point. Yeah. I mean, who knows? Maybe it was part of the media. I don't know. We'll just have to see. It's really hard to predict with this career. So, just continuing on the other fight, just to close it up, because I know we can go on and talk about every fight so, in detail, but just to touch on it because everybody's kind of thinking, what's next for Triple G? And so just long story short, we saw Triple G go out there. He put in work. He was able to stop Murata. I don't know if I'm saying the last name right, but that's how I've been saying it. So Murata, he was able to stop him, but Murata showed a lot of power. My gosh, he was able to take Triple G's punches like a lot of people haven't been able to. So to see that performance and to see Triple G, age does look like it's caught up to him. I'll be honest. But at the same time, where do you guys stand on, let's see a Triple G versus Canelo, trilogy?
I would rather not. So, TJ and I, and also Through the Ropes commented on this one. And I think the consensus was we actually want to see Triple G stay at 160 and try to unify. This performance was a great performance. Yes, Triple G is 4 years old. But after that slow start, 6 round on, we saw glimpses of prime Triple G. Still, the power's still there. And I think he can, go for the WBO belt once, a champion's been crowned there, or even Charlo. To get that trap. I think going to 168, a brand new weight division for him against now who's going to be the younger, bigger Canelo, it's a recipe for disaster. He cannot afford to start late with Canelo, because Canelo's going to be ripping that body early and investing those rounds. Second round was close, but I think Canelo edged it. And at 40 years old, I don't think it's going to be close anymore.
Yeah, and like you said, we kind of touched on that when we were on your podcast, Jose. Like, I just don't think, a Canelo trilogy is really in his best interest. If he does want to continue to do this, like you said, a Charlo or a Bubu Andrade, something like that would probably be better. And then he could try to just get all those belts and then go out like that, rather than going against Canelo. And I like you said, Canelo's just a younger, bigger guy now. And like you said, Murata looked really good against Triple G, that 1 through, first through 5th round. So I don't know, like he came back in the second half of the fight and looked phenomenal, obviously, and got the stoppage, but I just don't think a Canelo is really in his best interest. Obviously it's a great payday. If he wants to grab that real quick and then leave, it would be a huge payday for him. But as far as like a legacy fight, if he just wants to get those belts and leave, that's what I think is in his best interest.
Yep. I'm on the same page as you guys, because Triple G, the past few fights has just been looking, like I said, like age is catching up to him. So I had said this on the last one, but it was in Spanish, but I was just saying, like, when Triple G was 31 and he was coming up, a lot of people didn't know about him. He was the big drama show, and no one wanted to fight him. Gabriel Rosado was the one that said, I'll take him. And I give him a lot of credit for that, because he fought Triple G when Triple G was, like I said, the big drama show, going out there and knocking everybody out. So I think everybody took their time, including Canelo, because I know that Canelo talk was there for a while. And it was one of those, like, Mayweather Pacquiao kind of things. Like you want to see it, and it takes a while to happen, and then it does, and all these different things come into play. But the first fight, it was already one of those where it was like Triple G's a little bit older. We'll see how it turns out, but it happened. Then you get the rematch, and it's like, yeah, it's not looking too good. Canelo's like in his prime coming up, and then all this stuff coming out about enhancements and things like that, which also taints, I think, in my opinion, the first two, the first two fights. And then now I'm like, there's no point in having a third fight. Triple G's name should not even be coming out of Canelo's mouth anymore.
No.
So for him to still say, yes, I'll take a fight if, this fight's presented to me with Bivol and possibly Triple G, I'll take that fight versus Benavidez and Charlo. It's like, okay, I get that. I get what you're doing. You're in my opinion, I think that was the better route for him business-wise, to keep his brand, to keep his name, that kind of thing. But the fight fans, I feel, in my opinion, the other option was the superstar, boxing is the top kind of thing, like mega fight.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, this fight's happening because it's the most financially viable fight out there for both fighters. I personally would want, if Canelo gets past Bivol, to become undisputed at lightweight and go after Joe Smith Jr. versus the Arthur Beterbiev winner. I think that would be a bigger legacy fight than beating a Triple G.
I agree with that too. Obviously, I know he wants to go up to 175 and grab that belt from Bivol, but I honestly, like you said, that Benavidez and Charlo just would have been like great.
That was my pick. I mean? Yeah,
and then like I'm a little biased towards Benavidez, so I think Benavidez would really give him a great fight. So like that's the one I wanted. So I mean, again, I like Bivol too. I think Bivol is actually really. I think Bivol's really good. Obviously, he's undefeated and in a great division. So obviously he's really good. But I really like his chances against Canelo. I think Canelo still wins, but I mean that's still a great fight. But that other route, that Charlo Benavidez, just would have been great for boxing in general.
Even with Bivol, it's like I don't want to discredit him, but at the same time, I also feel like he's not the same that he was either. When his name was on the rise and hitting the headlines, it was like Bivol is a machine. And then in his last couple performances, you're like, I don't see the machine that I once saw.
Yeah.
So and then it's like it's perfect timing for Canelo. It's not that I'm discrediting, it's just one of those careers where it's perfect timing, perfect opponent. That resume looks good.
Yeah, I think like Callum Smith at 168. Callum Smith was looking legit. Like his fight with George Groves. Very, very competitive. And then he had a tough fight against John Ryder that he arguably lost against John Ryder. And guess what? Canelo fights Callum Smith and beats him. But I will say though, Callum Smith in his return fight back at 175 looked like a beast again and got that knockout. So I think it is all about timing.
Yeah, definitely agree. But I want to thank you guys for your time. I know technical difficulties, and then we talk, and it just keeps going longer and longer. I don't even know if you guys even had your dinner yet.
Not quite, but right after this.
Yes, and thank you for having us. Yeah, I'm ready to do it again whenever.
Thank you.
Fight.
Breaking news.
This is the guy that's going to give him the biggest fight.
And then guess what?
Fight.